also known as the Prophet of Doom, this 16th century dude wrote some eerie stuff that people think predicted big events. Like in his book called Les Prophéties, some people think that he foresaw crazy stuff from the rise of the fascist party in Germany back in the day to the 2020 pandemic. Now in 2024, people are freaking out because they think he's predicted the end of the world. They say his writings suggest major disasters like war, natural disaster, and other crazy stuff happening this year. My name is AJ with Most Amazing, and these are the top 10 scary 2024 end of the world predictions made by Nostradamus. At number 10 is the earthquake in Japan on New Year's Day. Mere hours into the new year, Nostradamus' first prophecy for 2024 came true. His prediction for 2024 begins with the oracle writing, quote, "The dry earth will become more parched, and there will be a great flood." Now we'll address the first part of that prophecy in just a moment because the psychic's followers have surmised that Nostradamus was referring to the 7.5 magnitude tremor that hit Japan's western coast mere hours into the new year, which claimed 48 lives and leveled buildings, and in the process generating tsunamis. These waves engulfed the coast and swept homes and cars into the sea, forcing residents to seek higher ground. So not only did his prediction for great floods in 2024 come true immediately, but the oracle also managed to sneak in a long-term prediction in the same sentence. You see, most have speculated that his dry earth hypothesis is definitely in reference to the climate crisis we find ourselves in. 2023 was the hottest year in recent human history, and experts hypothesize that 2024 is going to be even hotter, with even more droughts and fires than last year. We're only one entry in and the dude's already got 2 predictions right, so let's see what else 2024 has in store for us according to Nostradamus. At number 9 is World War III. One of his predictions talks about a new world war starting 79 years after World War II. Now people are trying to connect the dots between what Nostradamus said and the current and very tense situations across the globe. Take Ukraine for example, with all that back and forth conflict there. Then there's the whole tension between China and Taiwan, plus the ongoing struggles in Palestine. At this point, it's very possible that any one of these wars could escalate into something much worse on a scale that we haven't seen in nearly 80 years. And as for whether or not this will come into fruition, we're just gonna have to wait and see. If you're enjoying the video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. At number 8, famine and the pandemic. Nostradamus' prediction about a, quote, very great famine through pestiferous wave, end quote, sure sparks curiosity to say the least. Now, first off, how might this famine happen? Well, think about it. A pestiferous wave, if I'm pronouncing that right, might not just mean a disease, but it could also mean like a swarm of pests attacking crops or disrupting food supplies. Climate change could also play a part, causing extreme weather that messes up farming, leading to food shortages. Imagine a situation in which crops fail due to devastating pest infestation or changing climate patterns. Now this could hit hard as food prices skyrocket and some places could struggle to get enough to eat. The effects might ripple worldwide, causing instability, conflicts over resources, and economic chaos. Now remember, these predictions are like reading tea leaves, which is open to many interpretations, so while it's good to be aware, let's take these prophecies with a pinch of skepticism. At number 7, Prince Harry becomes king. One of his prophecies is making people do a double take lately, especially those eyeing the British monarchy. So there's this passage in his book hinting at the, quote, hinting at a King of the Isles facing a forced exit. Now, many people are drawing a line between that prediction and King Charles III. See, if Nostradamus wasn't cooking up poetic riddles, it seems like there's trouble brewing for the new ruler. Now, while some have taken that to signify the torch being passed from the late Queen Elizabeth to the now King Charles, that wouldn't explain the whole driven out by force bit. So some are speculating that King Charles is to be dethroned, but by who exactly? Well, the prophecy throws in a twist, saying that this ruler would be usurped by, quote, one who will have no mark of a king. So basically a new leader that won't have the usual kingly vibes or isn't inherently the heir to the throne. Now, Prince William is next in line for the crown, but according to Nostradamus, that might not stick. Cue Prince Harry, the spare in the royal deck, potentially becoming the king. If this actually goes down, it's gonna be like a plot straight out of a Netflix series. Brace yourselves for a royal roller coaster, because the drama is far from over. At number 6, the celestial fire on the royal edifice. Many people all over the internet are corroborating this with the line about the dethroned king, speculating that the reign of the British Empire under the new king's rule will all go up in flames. But this passage might not necessarily be about the British royals, despite everybody jumping to that conclusion. Some folks mean it could be any non-democratic power structure, or even just a metaphorical fire, not an actual blaze at Buckingham Palace or anything. Now, people are getting super hyped saying that this is the end of the world, but honestly, it's taking a lot of guesswork here. Who knows what Nostradamus is really talking about? It's like reading an old text message without emojis, or any context, leaving it totally open to interpretation. At number 5 is the death of Pope Francis. So Nostradamus had some very spooky predictions about 2024, and one of them involves the Pope. He talked about a very old Pope shuffling off this moral coil, and then a seasoned Roman taking over. Now that's got people thinking, especially because Pope Francis, who is about to turn 87, hasn't been feeling too chipper lately. I mean, the guy had to skip a major climate conference due to his lung issues. Now the thing with Nostradamus is that his predictions are like deciphering riddles, so there's always room for interpretation. It's not like a crystal ball that gives you a clear picture, but still, when it comes to talking about the Pope and his health, it really makes you take notice. Now, let's not hit the panic button just yet. Maybe Nostradamus was having an off day or reading the stars upside down. So here's to hoping that Pope Francis sticks around for a good while and proves those predictions wrong. After all, a bit of good health practices and a sprinkle of optimism might just dodge these gloomy forecasts. At number 4 is the Pope's replacement. So the passage for this one reads, "Through the death of the very old pontiff, a Roman of good age will be elected." Now we've already dissected the first bit, how our good and old Pope Francis is gonna kick the bucket this year. But Nostradamus throws in a curveball. He says this new and fresh Pope will, quote, weaken his see. Now, what does this really mean? Some think that this new Pope is gonna be shaking things up in the church, maybe bringing new ideas or changing the rules. Now, the Prophet of Doom probably would have seen this as a bad thing, but in this new day and age, maybe it's not all doom and gloom. Perhaps that's his way of saying that this new Pope will be someone who introduces new and progressive changes and introduces the church to rules to fit neater in the present age. Now, if you were a fundamentalist or biblical literalist, that might sound like dreadful news, but for the rest of us, it doesn't sound too bad. It's like getting a religious software update. At number 3, the naval war against China. Nostradamus predicted a combat and naval battle and said that, quote, a red adversary will become pale with fear, putting the great ocean in dread. Super cryptic. So if this one comes true, then the world is gonna end this year, no doubt. Like, we're all in for nuclear Armageddon, so let's hope it was wrong about this one, yeah? This prediction talks about a big war involving what people assume to be China. He said something about battles, especially naval ones, and how a red adversary would get scared and make the ocean all nervous. Now, lots of folks have different ideas about what this passage means. Some say it's about China getting into a huge fight with other countries, potentially when they try to reclaim Taiwan for its resources, though that would inevitably drag in the West as well. World War III, anyone? Now, this passage is still super vague. Others just think it's old words being twisted to fit what's happening now. At number 2 is the Antichrist. This prediction is by far one of the most way out there predictions in the whole book, and if it's correct, then the biblical Armageddon is literally going to happen this year. The passage goes like this, quote, the Antichrist very soon annihilates the three. 27 years his war will last. The unbelievers are dead, captive, and exiled, with blood, human bodies, water, and red hail covering the earth. End quote. Now this could mean that this year marks the beginning of the end, but here's the thing. Nostradamus is kind of like the Da Vinci Code of his time. His writings are super open to interpretation. Like the line about the Antichrist very soon annihilates the three. Some people think that the three could be the three big powers, maybe the Holy Trinity, thus signifying the end of organized religion, or something along those lines. Or maybe it's something else entirely. And who knows? That bit about blood, bodies, water, and red hail covering the earth? Yeah. Sounds like either the dude's been reading the Apocalypse of John before bed every night, or maybe he needs a cup of something to steady his nerves. For all we know, this could be a cryptic message of some sort, like trying to solve a riddle without the answer key. Now, people are freaking out about these predictions. Some might even try to connect events to what Nostradamus said, like a cosmic detective, but the predictions here are as clear as mud. So instead of sweating the maybes, let's just keep our cool and see how things play out. And at number 1 are his most vague predictions. What's spooky about Nostradamus' predictions is they're utter vagueness. Take this line for example. The sloping park, great calamity through the lands of the west and Lombardy. The fire in the ship, plague and captivity. Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn fading. What the heck? It sounds like a cryptic horoscope. There's a reference to a park, a fire, a disease, some planets. Could it mean a fire in a theme park while Saturn's rings disappear? Or maybe a metaphorical firestorm in the Western world due to political conflicts? People have been trying to interpret these passages for centuries, finding connections to major events after the fact, but taking them as solid predictions for the end of the world is a different story. Predictions are intriguing, but until the celestial fire comes knocking, it's a guessing game and an eerie puzzle. As always, if there's a prediction by Nostradamus that marks the end of the world that you think I've missed, feel free to let me know down in the comments. This has been AJ with Most Amazing Top 10, and I'll catch you all in another video. Later.